Hey guys, thank you for jumping on to another episode of the Algorand Ecosystem Partner Fireside Chat. I am very fortunate to have Simon and Jim here with me from LoginID, and we're going to talk about an exciting partnership that we're forming together. Before we kick it off, Simon and Jim, can I ask both of you to give a quick background about yourself and also what you do at LoginID?
Perfect. Thanks, Sean. So my name is Simon Law. I'm co-founder and CEO of LoginID. My background is in payments. So I've been in payments my entire career, really focused on payment technologies, and recently a lot of doing payment authentication. So this is a very passionate topic of mine. And yeah, that's my background.
And I'm Jim. Great to meet you, Sean, fellow Canuck in Hong Kong. I'm one of the co-founders of LoginID, and my role is to work on business development and a lot of the partnerships that we have. So really excited about going deeper with the Algorand team and working with yourself and the other folks.
Excellent. Simon, Jim, thank you. So for the audience here, can you describe a little bit about what LoginID is and what are some of the capabilities that your solution offers?
Yeah, so LoginID, think about it as an authentication and identity platform. What we provide is a really easy way for developers to enable passwordless FIDO authentication in their application. So think about using your iPhone or your Android device or even your laptop, but instead of just using it to unlock your device, now you'll be able to use that to execute your application or authenticate into your application. So there's a lot of great applications to doing that, but that's kind of a high-level summary of what we do.
And is that through the mobile and also the web applications as well? Or are you looking at one kind of leaning towards one to the other?
Actually, it works both. So the beauty of this, what we call the FIDO standard, is FIDO is basically a standard that happened with all the technology companies, from chipset manufacturers all the way to the hardware, to the operating system, even to the browser level, all came together to come up with ubiquitous standards called FIDO. And so what that enables is that you'll be able to provide strong authentication that works across not only mobile devices, but also on desktop PCs and laptops, Mac laptops, all that. So that's the beauty of this, is that it's become the kind of the global standard. FIDO's become the global standard for authentication, and all the hardware vendors are participating. So it works with both mobile and desktop.
Yeah, very exciting.
Just comments on that.
Yeah, Jim.
Yeah, just a quick comment. As of February, there's around 4 billion devices supported globally. So right now it's probably closer to 5 billion. So you pretty well have it as the de facto standard on any device that a consumer would have.
Excellent. So let me see if I understand this correctly. Then I'm sure many of in the audience are asking this question. So I take out my phone, right, and I got Face ID or my thumbprints, and that already authenticate me into the device. So what you're saying is this is another layer that taps into those capability, but now allow you to execute various different functions and whatnot directly within the wallet. And also, does it work with the dApps as well?
Yes. So this is where the exciting part is, Sean, and why we're excited to work with Algorand is now not only because now finally through the standard, they are opening up the hardware. So now we're opening up the hardware and applying these applications to different things. And obviously, Web 2.0, but what we're really excited about is enabling Web 3.0, the dApps, so enabling them to utilize this basic function. So if you look at it, it's kind of like a chicken and the egg, right? You finally got all the hardware vendors to kind of come together. Now it's really get all the application providers to support it. So right now, Web 2 and Web 3 are starting to adopt this. And we're really excited to work with Algorand to be kind of the first in the industry to enable, FIDO, fully FIDO certified solution on the decentralized kind of applications.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
and I'm really excited to be working with you guys as well. Jim, maybe a couple of things. You and I have, in the past we've talked about various different cases, in the industries, right? Different hacks and whatnot. How would this solution kind of mitigate some of those risks, both at the solution platform perspective, but more importantly for the users?
Yeah, so if you think of FIDO and what it does, it obviously creates a real secure interaction for customers, but it's also very, very simple. So part of the work that we're going to be doing within the ecosystem is to really go down to the level of adapt. And so if, for argument's sake, my mother was to execute a smart contract, she wouldn't have to do anything different from what she's doing on her phone today. She'd be able to use her biometric authentication to actually execute on an NASC. So that's the level of what we wanted to go to. And, as Simon said, with FIDO, you have the industry standard around hardware-based security that's inherent on every device out there. So to us, that's really, really exciting. Another thing that we wanted to really push the envelope around is how can we help with account recovery in some cases where people may have forgotten their passphrases or what have you. So with FIDO and the ability to add multiple devices off of an account, that makes it a lot easier. So a lot of the work that we're going to be doing collectively between our teams will involve both of those use cases.
Yeah. So I just want to emphasize, user experience is the pinnacle, right, for adoption, right? And, web, not just Web 3, but Web 2 as well. So what we find is this is the key where you can basically straddle both security and user experience. And so that's what we're really enabling, is for the average user to be able to enable them to use a Web 3 application in a very simple way. So it's literally just the same way you unlock your device, you're going to be able to, unlock your wallet, do any application that's on the DApp. That's kind of the key of what we're trying to enable here.
And if we're successful, we're going to be opening up, new markets of customers that previously never interacted with a smart contract or Algorand. We're going to be attracting new developers that never found it as easy as developing on Algorand to include authentication. So to Simon's point earlier, this is really helping solve the chicken and egg on both sides to drive the ecosystem and growth around Algorand.
Yeah, I'd love to touch upon the account recovery. You always hear the story where, hey, someone lost their key or their computer hard drive, and they're going through the dumpsters trying to find it. Now we're going to work with Algorand to solve the account recovery problem. So, hey, you can be able to add multiple devices, and if you have a new device, you're going to be able to buy new devices to it and still be able to access your old account. So that's really cool, and I'm going to look forward to solving that problem with the Algorand team.
No, absolutely. So based on those 2 points that both of you have made, let me ask 2 questions, if I may, right? So obviously data privacy, especially personally identifying information, are critical, and biometrics is probably at the forefront of that. So the first question is, where are all those data being stored, and how are you managing that? I understand FIDO obviously is a standard, but where is that being stored? That's the first question. Yeah. Second question is, you describe the user experience from an account holder or wallet holder perspective, right? What about the developer? What are they going to be anticipated to go through to enable this function? So maybe one of you take one of the questions.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Jim.
So I'll just talk about from a developer perspective. So, sure. If we accomplish our goal in what we've done in Web 2.0 and do it for the Algorand ecosystem, it's going to be very easy for any developer to take one of our SDKs and integrate into a mobile app or a web app and do it very, very quickly. So we've managed to create a real simple path around a very complex standard. And if we do what we think we're going to do for our next move in working with your team, it should be very, very easy for any developer to read documentation, get sample code, go into our dashboard, get credentials, and get up and running with a prototype in very little time. So I'm really excited about this because it's definitely a game changer in Web 3.0.
Yeah, so talked about privacy, Sean. FIDO was, designed actually with privacy in mind. So in terms of your biometric, right, it's actually stored in your device. So it actually follows the distributed kind of concept. You are in possession of your own biometric, and it actually never leaves it. And the private key that's generated from the FIDO protocol actually never leaves the secure enclave as well. As you know, the secure enclave is super secure. In the case of Android device, they're running in the trusted execution environment. But to answer your question, the privacy framework is similar to right now in current blockchain. You won't have a necessarily a connection to the actual person. You will actually see that signatures are being verified on the FIDO, but you don't know that it's necessarily tied to myself or whatnot. So no biometric information. FIDO was actually recognized by GDPR as to be a GDPR compliant right out of the gate. So it's already considered what they call pseudo-anonymous, built by design. So yeah, so to answer your question, it is privacy by design already from the ground up.
So in a sense, you're saying you're combining the security that's embedded within the devices that we have in our hands, but at the same time having a decentralized public chain holding that signature information that combines and really amplify the power on both sides.
Yeah. So actually, FIDO, if you think about it, it's really it's a slight modification of what's currently done on blockchain, right? You got really just a public key and private key, but in this sense, now we have the private key stored in the secure enclave, and then the public key is going to be on the blockchain side. And what we're going to be working with the Algorand team is how to map that the FIDO public key to the public key that's associated with your block. And this is where some of the innovation will happen in terms of binding multiple authenticators of public key to that particular block, or rekeying in the sense where you're going to add new devices and whatnot. So those are kind of the part of the research we're going to work with your team. But ultimately speaking, it's at a very high level. It is privacy by design, and the cool part of it is biometric information and all that is stored on the local hardware, which is very secure. And this isn't something that is different from different from each kind of implementation. It is standard, recognized. This is fully audited. So because it's FIDO certified, all the hardware vendors had to go through rigorous standardization. And also on the software side, what we're going to be providing is also fully FIDO certified. So that's why it's very important. This is industry-wide and even regulatory recognized to be fully multi-factor and independent channels of
excellent. Excellent. As we continue to see blockchain and in general kind of digital assets continuing to go mainstream, and obviously getting a lot of the attentions from regulators around the world, being compliant is very important. We think regulation is very healthy. It guards a lot of the various different developments, but also continue to allow companies to innovate and really push the boundary of where technology can really take us. So really excited about that. So maybe a last question. I'll leave that with you, Jim. What's the time frame? I know where our teams have spent the last couple of months thinking about what the use cases are, the implementation timeline, and also some of the research topics as well. Can you give our audience a brief sense of when this will be made available?
Sure. So there's multiple components around what we're proposing. In general, the timelines will be approximately 3 to 5 months for some of the different milestones. So there'll be quite a bit of work with the team in coming up with requirements, sharing designs with you, and then actually starting to code up prototypes for POCs. So, we're looking at this as a very interactive exercise with your team and looking for feedback. But we're pretty excited about what we're going to be able to do over the next few months.
Excellent, excellent. I am sure many of the developers and startups that are probably watching this stream right now would love to get involved in some of the design and testing aspects as well. So, in time, I think we'll work together and make that available for the community and see if we have some interested parties to do that. So, so with that, Simon, Jim, thank you very much. I think this was extremely insightful. This really adds a completely different element towards the toolkit and the infrastructure capabilities that the Algorand protocol can offer. Very excited to work with the team, and we'll look forward to getting started on this project ASAP.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Sean. Really excited on our side as well. We're really thinking this is kind of a next kind of revolution in the way authentication is done on blockchain. So we're really glad we're working with your team and looking forward to it.
Excellent.
Okay.
We'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.